All right. Think we're back up. Think I figured out Facebook. The live is starting. And I'm live, it looks like. All right. I am live. Cool. Let me share this out to y'all. All right. Everybody, welcome in to episode 2 of Cheesy Corn Sports. I'm going to apologize on the extreme delay here. We had a little bit of an issue with Cheney was feeling a little bit under the weather here. So I had to scramble to figure this out a little bit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get set up, just pull some of the stuff over. So yeah, essentially, typically he'll do the streaming from his computer. So when he wasn't feeling well, I had to then pull everything up on mine and try to figure out exactly how this whole dashboard operates. So, and here we are. I finally made it. Um, so once I get everything set up over here, I'll be able to run the comments and everything. Look at the chat, respond to the chat, do what I got to do. So, all right, cool. So first things first. Yeah, I guess I wanted to touch on the World Series a little bit, just really quickly. Yeah, World Series breakdown so far. Game one went about how I expected it to. Well, not how I expected it to, but I felt like the Astros might have been due. The bullpen was due. It's really hard to consistently continue to do what they did. But they let one slip away. As the series goes on, Philly, for what they are, they're not really good defensively. They're not good in their bullpen, so a lot of things have gone their way so far in the postseason and into Game One, as they kind of saved the game almost with that big defensive diving play. So it's going to be hard for them to rely on things like that, just because of their defense, and their defense showed a little bit last night. The Astros have not been kind of getting onto their bullpen like I like. They're hitting their aces, but they're letting their bullpen just kind of run through. They got to start working counts and um, getting that bullpen, roughed up a little bit and extending them innings, extending them pitches and stuff like that. So, okay, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into a little bit of the college football slate from yesterday. So college football yesterday was there was a couple of big things that I wanted to touch on that I talked about last week. And I'm sorry that my eyes are all over the place right now. I'm just kind of making sure I can get everything situated in a way where um, I can see everything I need to see. So typically, like I said, typically we have Cheney here and we have two computers rolling, which really helps. So all right. First and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and get into. I know most of y'all don't want to hear about the Nebraska game, but nor do I want to talk about it very, very long because it was not fun. Um, Essentially, what happened? Nebraska game. Nebraska comes out number one scoring defense in college football. Believe it or not, is Illinois. They give up 8.9 points per game. Nebraska came out quick, fast, and in a hurry, and got 9 points in the second quarter. Had 240 yards, ran up on them. Casey Thompson was kind of dicing the defense up. Anthony Grant doing what he does, running the ball effectively. Casey Thompson went out. He got hit on a play. During that same play, the ball got lofted up into the air, and it was an easy interception for Illinois. And yeah, the game was kind of over from there. Once we brought in our backups, we didn't score again. We got one first down the remainder of the game. Yeah, that wasn't a good time at all. Quick recap since I need to start getting into the NFL slate. TCU beats West Virginia. That was a kind of tough matchup for TCU. West Virginia is not like great, they're 3-4, but they're always sneaky good. Um, Notre Dame beat Syracuse. Again, really not much to that one. Now, one of the big ones I wanted to get into, Ohio State versus Penn State. Ohio State actually came out of the gates on this one and looked really, really effective. I'm sorry, Penn State. Penn State came out and looked really, really effective early. However, I mean, Sean Clifford did rely on a little bit of luck in this one in the beginning. He had a play out to Parker Washington. That Parker Washington was almost like like an 8. I think it was a screen pass, and Parker Washington just ran through the contact, was able to house it. 58-yard touchdown. That kind of got Sean Clifford going. Before that, he wasn't doing very well. But basically, it was him to Parker Washington the entire game. On the other side, C.J. Stroud, 354 yards and a touchdown. He did what he needed to do. He wasn't I guess as electric as he normally is, but he grinded the game out, and that's what he's going to have to do. I mean, that's number 13th ranked Penn State at Penn State. That crowd is wild, especially in these top 10 matchups right here. So Marvin Harrison Jr. is an absolute stud for them. He was targeted heavy, and it paid off. Everybody get him the ball. He got 10 catches for 187 yards. Ohio State, to me, continues to be, in my opinion, the best team in college football. Although they did struggle a little bit yesterday, again, Penn State on the road. Spread was 13.5. They won by 13. They took care of business. And at the end of the day, that's what they need to do. Georgia beats Florida. The game was one-sided. It got a little tight there for a second, and then it just kind of went back to Georgia's way. Stetson Bennett, not the greatest quarterback in the world. 19 for 38, which isn't great. Actually, it isn't good. 316 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. But they did what they did. They run the football. They run it well. They were averaging 6 yards a carry against Florida. Anthony Richardson for Florida had a really bad game at quarterback. So yeah. And then the other one I wanted to touch on, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. That was an actual massacre that happened with, Kansas State against the number 9 team in the country with their backup quarterback won 48-0. Will Howard, 296 yards. The backup for K-State, Will Howard, 296 yards, 4 touchdowns. I think it's time we start talking about Kansas State as being a legitimate Big 12, power this year. They have Adrian Martinez going, but Will Howard and his game so far has looked great. He's a junior. The third string QB when he had to play the other night wasn't the best. Let's just put it that way. Or last weekend. So Kansas State wins against Oklahoma State. I was going to get into the Tennessee game a little bit further in detail. However, it ended up just being extremely one-sided. And also, I'm still trying to brush over these right here. 44-6, they beat Kentucky. Tennessee, very impressive to me. That game went a lot different than I expected it to. Honestly, I expected it to be closer. I expected Tennessee to win, but yeah. So that's kind of just a quick overview of the college football games. Now I want to get into the NFL slate a little bit here. So let's do a change of pace here. I'm going to check in on the chat here and let's see if we got anything going. I want to get an eye on this because since it's just me, and I was not prepared for it to be just me. Want to have some interaction if I can get it here. So, all right, yeah. If y'all got any lineup questions or anything like that, throw them in here for me. If y'all got any questions about anything fantasy related, if y'all want me to touch on any games in particular more than the others, I will. I think first and foremost, what I'm going to do here to match up by the NFL game, and then I'm going to be able to figure out maybe win y'all some money. Let's go. Sorry, still getting some things rolling here. All right. First things first. I'm going to go ahead and get in Panthers Falcons. I won't spend too much time on this because it is a Panthers Falcons game. So, let's take it for what it's worth. It's not going to be the best game. Not a lot of people are going to be tuning into this one. Now it's -4 Falcons. Panthers last week, they came in and they beat basically the brakes off of Tampa, but they were playing with a little bit of house money there. Nothing to lose, free flowing. Just got rid of Christian McCaffrey, and I think PJ Walker came out and played really well, efficient. They had more energy in that game than Tampa. Tampa's just, for all the talent they have, they're just not putting it out on the field into a good product. So I like the way the Mariota's been playing with the Falcons offense. They have the wins they have been decent. They should have won that game against the Buccaneers. With the rough in the passer on Tom Brady, they complained about. I think the Falcons win this one by a touchdown. The over/under is really, really, actually surprisingly low at 42. But I mean, I would venture to guess that there's a potential that it does end up just being a complete dud here. So, all right. Cool. So let's go ahead and get into Cowboys Bears. All right. My favorite team in the world to talk about, the Dallas Cowboys. Here we go. Okay. The thing about the Dallas Cowboys, it's really been, I don't know why people are kind of, I guess, down on Dak a little bit. It doesn't make sense to me. He went out week 1 with an injury, right? Comes back after a few weeks off, does what he needs to do last week. He doesn't light the world on fire, which is typically that hasn't been Dallas's style right now. It looks like they're playing more so to control the game management. Their defense they have one of the best run defenses in football. Their defense is solid enough to where all they have to do is control the line of scrimmage and manage the game, and then let Dak have things open up for him through the run game. They need to run Tony Pollard more. Been saying that. Tony Pollard is a much harder runner than Zeke. Stop giving Zeke the ball, man. Just run Tony Pollard and stop letting Zeke vulture his touchdowns too. That's another thing. Interesting point of note for the Bears that I wanted to put out. I touched on it on last week's episode. If y'all were able to tune in for that one. So with Khalil Herbert, the Bears backfield, it's interesting, right? Khalil Herbert came in against the Texans, and he had a really good game against the Texans. But the thing is, everybody has a good game against the Texans. So when he came in against the Texans, he ran for 144 yards. Now with that, David Montgomery came back, was healthy the previous weeks, and then his snap count just kind of went back down. David Montgomery came back and took over, and I get why David Montgomery is their primary focus in there. The reason it's their primary focus is because he's a better pass blocker, right? And they can't just be bringing him in on passing downs only, or it's going to be very, very predictive of what they're going to be doing. But I said on last week's episode that Khalil Herbert would be taking over that backfield. And what that's, that he was at a week 6 or week 5, he had 28% of the snaps. Week 6, he had 22% of the snaps. And then last week, he jumped up to 44%. So, right after I said that, he went from 22% of the snap count to 44%. So they're riding the hot hand right now. If Khalil Herbert can just maintain that momentum that he has and get better in pass pro, it's interesting that if you watched the game last week, you saw that a couple of plays for the Bears, they had Khalil Herbert in section, in which they typically don't do that. So it's almost like they're trying to work with him and get him in position to where he can get better in pass protection. So, I mean, I do like what they're trying to do more into this offense and really get him working in pass protection. I think what it's going to do with him is ultimately, if he can figure out a way to get better in pass protection, then what they're going to be doing is they're going to be utilizing him more and more and more. So, he scampered for that 25-yard touchdown on a little screen pass. And I mean, just overall in his performances and the way he's been running the football, I mean, we can all see it. Like, he's the better back. David Montgomery is good, but he's never what he was cracked up to be. Everybody a couple years back or 3 years ago, and, everybody remembers their fantasy drafts when Khalil Herbert or when David Montgomery was oh, hold on. Did we lose it here? Crap. Am I good here, guys? Am I still rolling? I think I am. I think I closed out my. No, I didn't. We're still good. Sorry, guys. Like I said, I got a lot of screens up here, and if I did actually, hold on, let me double check. We're still good. Sorry, guys. Yep. All right. We're on. My studio did not close. Okay, cool. But yeah, anyway, so just keep an eye on Khalil Herbert's the way they're using him, and the way they continue to use him going forward. We'll be able to tell, and it'll indicate for us kind of what their plan is with him going forward, and if they're going to continue to just raise up his snap count. I said at the very end of the last episode that I expected Khalil Herbert to take over the backfield before the end of the season, and I didn't expect it to happen that quick. But I mean, it does appear some potential there, but monitor that. Or buy low on him. Like, right now is your opportunity to buy low on Khalil Herbert. And I don't think you would. I think, but like, remember, let's not give up a starting running back. Is potential to be a starting running back, right? Buy low means you go in with a player that is productive, that is going to get attention from whoever you're trading with. Maybe a lot something they need. So work it that way, right? Go look at their team. What needs versus wants, right? Like they're more willing to need, especially a team that's they need instantaneous points more than anybody. Those are with in fantasy. All right, so Cowboys minus the. Let's see. So yeah, but still the All right, let's see if we're back. We are back. Oh man, this has been a. I hope you are enjoying this episode, just basically because of my struggles and trying to figure this shit out. Because this is not a good time at all. But I want to be consistent with the uploads. Very early this morning, that I found out that it was going to be me solo. So I apologize, everybody. Please be fair to me. And I don't want to hear none of y'all shit either. All right, none of y'all shit about this damn show being a fucking train wreck. All right, I hopped on here. I figured it out. 30 minutes late, but I figured it out. All right, so I don't want to hear none of y'all shit either. Anybody at work? I don't want to hear none of y'all talking shit. Because you motherfuckers will anyways. I already know that. Big news in the yeah. So Minnesota wins that game, by the way. Minnesota's really good. Arizona's not, but the biggest thing in that one is Minnesota's crowd is going to be absolutely insane. That's going to be a tough one for the Cardinals. Minnesota's going to cover in that one. Minnesota's going to win. They're going to cover the spread. Now, Miami, Detroit. Detroit, I will say, Amon-Ra St. Brown cleared his protocol. So Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be playing. Detroit is going to struggle in this one. DeAndre Swift is, I don't know if he's out or back yet. Let me double check on that. Or yeah, let me double check on DeAndre Swift. But as far as fantasy goes, DeAndre Swift, of course, if he's playing, you play him. You start Williams. But yeah, looks like DeAndre Swift will be back. And you have Amon-Ra St. Brown. So that'll make it a little more interesting, I think. It's just, Detroit's offense without Amon-Ra hasn't been good. Amon-Ra came back, got it from his first injury, got a concussion and was out. So, and Jameson Williams for them, a lot of people forgot about Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams, a first round pick this past draft, and people have seemingly forgot about him. Jameson Williams was a top 15 pick in this past year's draft. Just got an ACL injury before the season started. Hasn't been able to play. They were expecting him to come back after the bye week, but it looks like they extended that another month. So I don't know if he's going to be fantasy relevant this year, because I'm afraid if he does get cleared to come back, that they're going to just chalk it, pack it in for the season, not to risk him hurting it, especially if they're out of the playoff run. I don't see why they would rush him back. So it makes sense, but for fantasy reasons, I would love to see him back just to see kind of what we have with him. So, I think Detroit, depending on with DeAndre Swift back, I think that might be a sneaky game for the Dolphins to lose. I think that might actually be a really interesting game. So you know what? I'm gonna make a crazy call here. I need Detroit to win anyways, because they got the number one pick over us right now in the draft. So I need them to win. So let's, I'm gonna go. This is my damn bold prediction of the week. Amon-Ra St. Brown goes for over 100 yards. DeAndre Swift he rushes for 2 touchdowns, and Detroit wins. Tua Tagovailoa goes out with another back injury. And clears concussion protocol, because that makes sense if you don't think about it. And yeah, Detroit wins. Let's see. Let's get into. If you're seeing the Denver-Jacksonville game right now, Denver's up 21-17 with 1:43 to go in that one. I wasn't waking up early for that game. I don't know about y'all, but I had no interest in that game. Las Vegas and New Orleans. Do we even need to talk about that game? Because that game sounds brutal to even have to potentially watch. So I feel bad for anybody who's a fan of either of those teams that's actually going to watch that game. Um, New England at the Jets. Okay, interesting here with Brees Hall going out. How are the Jets going to manage the backfield? I do think that, because the thing about the thing that made their offense roll and tick um, really well was Brees Hall. And the fact that he got injured on a non-contact and touchdown run is brutal because Brees Hall was about to just take over completely. I'm talking about like number one fantasy back. He was going to be the number one fantasy back. Um, it was just the most unfortunate circumstance that happened to him, and that's the problem. But that is about running backs, right? In fantasy, is they're one knee injury away from losing their value. You got to think about it this way: running backs' most valuable time frame of their career is between years 2 and 4. Typically, they're on their rookie deal between years 2 and 4 is when they really, really have their best numbers statistically, notoriously over time. That's been shown to be accurate. Um, so you hate that Brees Hall was going out there year one and doing what he did is going to lose that. But the thing is, he's 21. I don't want to say you'd rather it happen to him like at all, but like you'd rather it happen to him year one. That way he can recover, come back year two. That's if the damage isn't what it was for J.K. Dobbins and he doesn't have the whole knee blown up, but it doesn't sound like that's the case. So he should be back um, for next season. Should be back and cleared for next season, 100%. Um, all right. Yeah. So, anyways, back to their backfield. James Robinson was traded by Jacksonville. Um, it's they had to make a move. The Jets had to make a move. It wasn't much. It wasn't like a blockbuster, right? But it was kind of a sign that they're going to try to make a push this year, right? And they don't want that Brees Hall injury to kind of shorten their momentum, because this team does need to run the ball. Their quarterback play, as we know, their quarterback play isn't the best. Wilson he's running the offense better, but they're going to require, like, they need that run game. They need that run game ticking. They need to run at a high level. So having that tandem in the backfield. But there's no, James Robinson is no Brees Hall. Like, they're speed wise, Brees Hall, Brees Hall is better all around. Speed wise, he's faster. What James Robinson does well is he's good. He's good between the tackles. He doesn't rely on pure speed. He's more so he's going to get you with quickness and his power. His explosiveness isn't quite all the way back from his Achilles tear that he had previously. I think he had surgery in last December on that. But the Jets do have a burner with Ty Johnson, so they could run a little bit of a multi-back set there. But I do hate running backs by committee, but they can run a little bit of a multi-back set there. Use Robinson for his power between the tackles and put in Ty Johnson when he needs to get out on the outside, get in space and try to create big plays. More pressure is going to be put on Zach Wilson, though. That's the thing about this. More pressure is going to be put on Zach Wilson to go out there and manufacture offense. It's going to rely more on him. the offense is going to have to figure out a way to get a passing game going. It's just without Breece Hall, they got to figure this out. And right now, you have to, that has to start this week, because they need to continue the confidence that they had. They need to keep that rolling. And unless they can manufacture some kind of passing game, it's not going to. I'm going to double check here my Facebook chat, make sure we don't have any comments. So stand by one. All right, looks like we're good. Okay. Yeah, this one, like this episode's just quick, like just a run through. You know, I'm recapping everything again. Chaney was out this week. He wasn't feeling well. I think he told me he fell out of his bed in the middle of the night and hit his head on the wall. No, I'm just kidding. He just wasn't feeling well, had a headache. So an extreme headache. All right. It's not just some headache. He didn't just miss for the hell of it. So, you know, he wasn't able to join today. So that's why I'm running solo, and we're a little less structure this time. We're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. We're figuring this shit out, though. It took me 30 minutes to figure out how to get this live stream up. I don't want y'all to forget that. 30 minutes to figure out how to get this damn live stream up. Okay. Before I get into the other games, let's talk about the Kadarius Toney trade just real quick. Kadarius Toney, so we haven't had a chance to talk about that. Kadarius Toney trade. Okay, so people are asking me my opinion on the Kadarius Toney trade. Here's my take on it, right? He's the most Tyreek Hill-esque player they could have went after. Here's why it's low risk, potential high reward for them. Now, Kadarius Toney is a top 20 pick. I think he went 20th in the first round. He caught over 400 yards last year, but was limited. He was injured most of the season, which was a concern for most when he came into the league. He's a very slight frame. So everybody was wondering if he could withstand the grind of NFL players getting hit. If his body could hold up to it. And last year it didn't, which really threw a lot of people, you know, it doubled down on what everybody thought was an issue for him. I didn't expect the Giants to trade him before the season started. But for me, when the writing got onto the wall was when Wan'Dale Robinson was drafted by them, because now those two, basically him and Wan'Dale are one and the same. Wan'Dale's not as quick, but their role on that team, there's no reason it's redundant to have both of them. Which makes sense why they traded Kadarius Toney for KC. It's a smart move. Again, he's still on his rookie deal through 2024 with a player option in 2025. So rookie deal, you're not paying him a ton of money. He does have the option to be there through 2025, which is big for them, because if you look at their contracts right now, the only receiver that KC has guaranteed through the 2023 season is Sky Moore, who's also, well, Sky Moore's a rookie. Kadarius Toney's a second-year player. But yeah, Sky Moore's those are the only two receivers they have locked up through that point. So at least, you know, if Kadarius Toney can come out and be what people think potentially he can be in that offense, you have him through a few seasons. So they needed to figure something out, and they did, just because that offense has not been the same without Tyreek. So they needed to find another way to replace him, and you're not replacing Tyreek. Kadarius Toney's not Tyreek Hill, not by any stretch. But he is the most Tyreek-esque as far as his style goes. But yeah, just a low risk play for them. And I think it was smart. Also think it was smart of the Giants to move on from him because of the Wan'Dale Robinson situation. But he wasn't going to have a role in that offense. Just simple as that. With Wan'Dale coming onto the scene, emerging the way he has, it made Kadarius Toney expendable. All right, next I'll get into Pittsburgh versus Philadelphia. Um, Again, still not sold on Philly completely. Um, I think Philly's good. I just don't think they're. Um, I don't. They're not winning the Super Bowl. Let's just go out on a limb and say it. Not winning the Super Bowl. They can make some noise in the postseason, but they're just not. I don't think they're there yet, right? I don't think they're an elite. It's been they're 6-0, right? We've seen many teams come out and be 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, and some miss the playoffs. The Chiefs again 5-0, and I forget what year it was with Alex Smith under the helm, and they missed the playoffs that season. I think they lost like 8 in a row. Um, so yeah, I'm not sold on Philly, but I do expect them to beat Pittsburgh. But the minus 11.5 spread, that's a huge spread. Um, I don't know. I think Pittsburgh comes out with a little bit of fire and is able to keep this game close, fairly close. Um, so I don't think they'll win by 2 touchdowns. I think it's a 10-point game when it's all said and done. Pittsburgh's bad. They are, but I think I'll I'll go out on a limb and say that. I'm trying to speed these up. Tennessee, Houston. Yeah. Um, Not a good time to watch Texans football this year, but um, it is very very much exciting to see the prospects that we can come out with the number 1 or 2 pick, right? Depending on if we continue to lose, maybe Detroit gets. Right now, we're positioned the second pick and the fourth pick. The fourth pick is because of the Deshaun Watson trade to the Browns. We got the Browns pick, so right now it it's a good situation. I don't want us to start necessarily winning because we're not. I mean, if we win, it's for what? Like, we're not competing for any championships this year. We're not going to make it in the playoffs. There's really no reason for us to win. And I know they're not going to go out there intentionally to lose, but we're just really bad. So like we don't have a choice in the matter. Um, Tennessee's coming in with Malik Willis getting his first start. That'll be interesting. Malik Willis. We do have a good pass defense. Jalen Petrie, we utilize him in multiple areas out of the safety spot. He's brought a lot off the edge in pass rushing. So we might actually just get out there. Texans might actually try to get out there and just get pressure on Malik and make him uncomfortable from the start. For Tennessee, all they need to do is run the ball. Like we haven't been able to stop any running backs this year. We're not going to be able to stop Derrick Henry. If they come out and run the football on us, they're going to win that game. We do. Sorry, I keep saying we. The Texans typically do make it a close game against Tennessee, but the way Henry's been running the football and the way our run defense has been playing, it doesn't instill much confidence in me at all that they're going to come out here and really be able to kind of make a game out of this. So I think Tennessee wins by double digits, 10 plus, I'd say. Washington versus the Colts. Another one that I would not watch. It is Halloween, so maybe you can watch it. But that's about the only reason I'd watch it is because what you're going to see on the field is going to be scary. It's not going to be a fun game. It's not going to be a good time for anybody watching or playing in that game. Colts are going to the old Texas Longhorn quarterback of the decade, Mr. We're back. So it's going to be interesting to see his first start. That'll be interesting. Matt Ryan he says he was shocked about being benched. I don't think anybody who's watched Matt Ryan play this year is shocked that he was getting benched. Um, I mean, he's injured, I know, but that's not why he was benched. He was benched because he has as many touchdowns as he has interceptions. He's a 41.9 QBR. That's towards the bottom of the league as far as quarterbacks go. Fifth in yards, though. He's getting yards, but just turning the ball over way too much. It the potential was there, coming into the season that you thought maybe they could get it going with him. But the problem is that the Colts need to run the ball. Like I said that last week. We've been saying that all season. Like, you have the best running back in football, and Jonathan Taylor. Run the football. Open up the pass. Stop dropping back consistently with Matt Ryan and expecting him to be able to make these throws. He's older. He's not what he used to be, and he's not making the throws he needs to right now. So with Sam Ehlinger, even more so. Like, you got to come out. You got to run the football. Get him comfortable in there. Sam Ehlinger's first start, which does leave the potential that it could be a good start for him. Like, he's coming out. He's going to be free flowing, but there is pressure on him from the Colts fan base. It's going to be on him immediately because the Colts are like, listen, we're second in the AFC South, but we got to start winning. Tennessee's got an easy matchup in the Texans today. The Colts got to stick with it, and they got to start putting together wins, especially in games like this where this is a very winnable game. I mean, you got to take advantage of these matchups. If you're playing the Washington Commanders, you have to take advantage of that, because towards the end of the season, the Colts still have, they have the Patriots, tough matchup. They have the Eagles, they have the Cowboys, they have the Vikings, they have the Chargers. So it's not an easy stretch. So these games that they can get a potential to win, I think they have to win. I was leaning towards the Commanders winning that game, but I don't think they're going to. I think the Colts, with the change at quarterback, might come out and just play a little bit of fire and get the job done there. Outside of that, we got left. So we have Giants versus Seahawks. So Geno Smith, what I wanted to touch on a little bit of what Geno Smith has been doing that's been making him good. I don't think a lot of people know. A lot of people are understanding why Geno all of a sudden has played well. And if you watch their games, it's due to his commitment to the run game. Okay, so what they're doing really well with him is mixing him in with the play action, rollouts, the bootlegs, while getting their running game going first. So Kenneth Walker, y'all saw what he did last week. Kenneth Walker's extremely good running back. What Geno Smith is doing is he's committed so much to the run game that when he is handing the ball off versus keeping the ball in these play action boots, it looks the exact same. He hides the ball so well that it makes the defenders at the second level and even on the line they have to make a decision, right? And more often than not this year, it's been the wrong decision, whether to crash down and go after him on the boot or whether to go slam in and try to fill your gaps on the run game. And right now, he's keeping defenses guessing, but that's also opening up deep passes for him. It's opened up the pass for him. That's what makes Geno Smith so good this year, is their commitment, his commitment to the run game, and their commitment to keeping that, playing to his strength with that. So I want you, if anybody watches the Seahawks Giants, pay really close attention to what it looks like when Geno is running these play action bootlegs, or when he's handing it off and faking the bootleg, to what that causes the defense to do. And pay attention to how he looks when he sells it versus when he keeps it, because it looks the exact same. These defenders are guessing. They're they're keying in on Geno when they should be crashing to stop the run game. That's leaving an open pass. All right, that's leaving an open run lane for them to get gashed. And then when they get gashed, what do? They commit to filling that gap. Boom. Geno runs out, rolls out, and they can't stop it, right? So that's what's made Seattle good this year. The Giants, they got lucky last week. All things considered, they stopped Jacksonville at the one inch line on the last play of the game, stood them up, and what would have lost them the game. What did, I don't know why I just had a stroke there mid sentence, but what it did, what last week did for the Giants, what I did like to see was, again, Wan'Dale Robinson by halftime had 8 targets and 6 receptions, and 50 yards. He was on pace for a big game. He did pull up towards the end of the first half. He pulled up a little gimpy when he got hit on one of the receptions, and he wasn't targeted the rest of the game. It was like he was out there for a little bit, almost out there as like a decoy type of deal, but you could tell he wasn't 100% because immediately after the game, they had him listed as questionable. I don't think there's I haven't seen him on any injury reports that indicate that he's battling that going into this week. So yeah, that is what that is. I think I got the Seahawks in that one. I'm sorry. I'm just not sold on the Giants at all. I'm going to keep picking against them because I'm tired of them winning when they should be winning. So I'm just going to keep picking against them and hope one of these days I'm right. Because I don't like to be wrong. All right. And Ja'Marr Chase's injury. It's another thing I wanted to touch on here. I'm running out of time here. So I may not be able to get to all the games again. Because, again, I was late. Cheney woke up sick. I was late to getting this started because I had to figure out how to do this on my end. So Ja'Marr Chase's injury. If you have Ja'Marr Chase in fantasy, here's one big thing to pay attention to. The fact that they didn't put him in the IR. All indications leaned towards him going onto the IR as soon as the injury was announced is what it was. They elected not to put him on the IR, which means that they expect him to come back sooner than the 4 to 6 week window that was originally anticipated. Again, the IR, they can't come back for 4 weeks, which means they potentially expect him to be back sooner than 4 weeks. I don't think he will be 100% until week 12. So I think the length of time he's going to be out is going to be very dependent on how they look with Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins. But they are going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to get Mixon more involved because what makes the Bengals defense so dynamic is you don't know who to cover out of the two. One plays into the other. T. Higgins, big-bodied receiver. If everybody's doubling Chase, they got their one on Chase. That left T. Higgins open to be able to go up, fight for the football, be wide open on routes because the defenders just can't. Their second and third defenders can't hang with them. But they're going to have to start going through Mixon more. They're going to have to get Mixon, Samaje Perine involved, and then hope that opens up the passing game a little bit more. They're going to have to make some adjustments there. But Ja'Marr Chase, because I personally looked into the injury Ja'Marr Chase has, and the fracture is indicative of from what I've read that 4 weeks would be a good timetable to get him back at 100%. So I think they didn't put him on the IR, but with the off chance that he could be 100%, he's young, that he might feel 100%, or if things get dire, they maybe rush him back a week early. So Ja'Marr Chase, especially in fantasy, if you can buy low on him right now, I would definitely do that. Don't panic on Ja'Marr Chase, though. I've been telling people that if you're a Ja'Marr Chase owner, do not panic. Don't sell low. Hold on to him. Keep him on your bench, stash him. Because the fact of the matter is when he comes back, he's going to be 100%, and you're going to have him for the back half of the season and into the playoffs of your fantasy leagues. Green Bay, Buffalo. Yeah, what's to talk about? Buffalo is going to win that one handedly. Green Bay might make a game of it. It is a primetime game. Aaron Rodgers It was a bad look last week, him blaming his team as opposed to taking responsibility. But Aaron Rodgers, for what it's worth, is a really good quarterback. I mean, that's not changed. It's just he does. A lot of players need to be held accountable, but he also needs to take responsibility because he's not playing. He's not playing up to his standards either this year, but we all know it's there. San Francisco versus the Rams. Expect San Francisco to involve McCaffrey a little bit more in this week's game plan. He was very limited last week, as we expected. They do still need to get the other running backs involved. Tyrion Davis-Price, I still don't think is back. So it's going to be heavy dose of Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey. How much more involved Christian McCaffrey gets? Jeff Wilson, not Elijah Mitchell. I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. But expect Christian McCaffrey to get a little more involved in this week's game. They got him for a reason. It's not to just sit here and have him, waiting in the wings, slowly adjusting in 4 weeks. And he's off any injury report, which is great because anytime he can stay off the injury report, that's a good sign. But they do like they did last week, right? Stay creative with your offense. You still have Deebo Samuel. Use Deebo Samuel to run. Mix it up. Don't try not to get out there and give Christian McCaffrey 25 carries a game because that's when he's going to wear down and when he's going to break every bone in his body because he's fragile. Let's just call it what it is. He's fragile. So yeah, Christian McCaffrey this week. Last week I said don't expect too much from him. Don't be disappointed when he doesn't do well. But this week he's going to get a little more involved. I think that fantasy owners will be happier this week with his involvement in the offense. And yeah, so that'll cover it for me this week. Again, sorry for the delay on getting the stream up. I kind of had to figure out how to do all the live stuff on my own with Cheney out because he typically hosts that from his desktop PC. But yeah, so noteworthy bets again. My upset of the week: Detroit over Miami, and take Dallas to cover the spread against Chicago. Also expect CD to get going, get more involved in the pass game. So I mean, he was there last week. CD was there last week, just kind of easing his way back. And I mean, honestly, there was no reason for them. Like we expected that game to be somewhat of a shootout. Just Detroit's offense didn't show up. So there's a reason that CD Lamb didn't get a ton of points. There's a reason that Dak didn't have to throw the ball a ton. It's because they were in control of that game basically the entirety of the game. But yeah, so again, if I were y'all, I would definitely start Wan'Dale in your flex spot. If you have him, I'm starting him over, even a Courtland Sutton. I'm starting Wan'Dale over a Courtland Sutton. If it's a situation like that where it's that type of receivers that you have in your flex spot and you have Wan'Dale on your roster, go ahead and start him. Make sure that you have him in a position to get you points because he's going to have a game where he goes off. Again, last week it was leaning that way. He went down, he got banged up at half, but he had 8 targets and 6 receptions at half. So don't let last week's box score steer you off. He had 12 points at half. So he was due for a big game there. But yeah, so that's all I have for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for bearing with me in this stream. My computer wanted to shit out on me halfway through, but that's what I get for having Apple product as a computer. It's what I got right now, guys. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being patient with me. everybody. And again, Astros in 6. For all my Astros fans out there, just remember what I told y'all. The longer this series goes, the more it favors the Astros. We have the better defense. We have the deeper bullpen. We have the deeper starting rotation, more experience. The deeper this goes, the more it favors the Astros. And right now, so it's Philly's job to jump on us. They need to get out 2-1, 3-1. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're showing we're the better team outside of that one game we blew. Again, we were due, so it happens. But yeah, so that's about all I have, guys. Go set your fantasy lineups. Go get your bets in. Bet on Detroit in the upset. I'd say my confidence level out of 5 stars, about a 2 in that one. So also remember that. Don't come yell at me if you lose money on that. But I do think there's good value to be had there. Monarch St. Brown is back and he's healthy. He's cleared from everything. He went into concussion protocol, but supposedly it wasn't even a concussion. It's a very Tua Tagovailoa type of situation there. I don't know what the hell's going on here with the concussions and the brains being mush and not being the brains, but then it also being the brains being mush. So, yeah, not a good time to be an NFL doctor. That's for sure. I don't think anybody knows what they're doing, which probably explains why my wrist isn't, or my bicep surgery. I haven't fully recovered from my bicep surgery because I had a former Miami Dolphin team doctor do my surgery. So it's all kind of starting to align. The stars are starting to align for me here, and it's all starting to make sense. All right, guys, I'm gonna hop off here. I'm gonna go get ready for the games. Yeah, hope everybody wins your fantasy leagues, wins some money. And yeah, enjoy your Sunday, everybody. We might hop on here midweek next week. I'll put an advance notice out there if we do. Hop on here mid next week to get me and him both on a show, but I wanted to stay consistent with the uploads and hop on here anyways. And but yeah, so everybody enjoy your Sunday. All right, guys, later. All right, ended live on Facebook. All right, YouTube. You're all that's left. So hope you all have a great Sunday too. It's like I'm talking to 2 different people. There's 2 platforms, but I'm talking to the same people. So